In this video, I'm just going to go over some of the materials that are helpful that I like, basic stuff to get started with nature journaling. Here's a couple alternatives to Amazon. They're still out there. Lens Arts in Santa Cruz is doing curbside pickup, I think 3 days a week. And Artisan Craftsman, if you're up in the Bay Area, is another great store. I think they're doing mail delivery. A lot of the stuff you might already have at home too, so I'll just go through this kind of quick. Pencils is a good place to start. I like to have the pink erasers that go on the top of the pencil for field sketching. I usually just have a pencil or two with me. At home, I like to have a big eraser because I like to do a lot of erasing. And if you have a pencil, you need a pencil sharpener. I get pretty excited about pens. I like to mix them with watercolor. And apart from the different sizes of pens, which I would recommend having just sort of a range from, small like 0.5 to 1 or 2 millimeter. But the other thing to think about is whether or not they're soluble. So those ones on the top are water soluble, so when you use watercolor over them, the ink will bleed. And the ones on the bottom are permanent, and when you put water or watercolor over them, they won't bleed. And it kind of is fun to use both kinds depending on what the effect you want. I would just recommend trying them out first to see what's going to happen, because you don't want to do this nice pen drawing and then put watercolor over it and have it bleed everywhere. It looks a bit like it's bleeding in this video, but that's just because the water I'm using is a little bit dirty, but that's the basic concept. Thinking about pens reminded me of this wonderful work by a recent student, Nina Scherer. I'm just really impressed by the way the ballpoint pen, just one of those simple big blue ballpoint pens, mixes with the watercolor, and it's a good place to start is just with ballpoint if you have it. I'll jump right into some watercolor. There's lots of different sets. You might have something at home like a simple set, a student set. What I like to do is, you can see on the top right there's a metal pan. That's what I use. That's a kit I got in Amsterdam. Not that anyone is going to Amsterdam these days, but what I like about it is that you can change out the colors. So those little half pans, you can pick the colors you like and change them out. And these kinds of things are available online. You can also get like a simple plastic one that has wells in it and fill it up from tubes, which is another way to be able to customize and choose your own colors. And there's also pre-made sets, which I'll talk a little bit about more after I talk about just some basic colors. If you are making your own palette, it's hard to know what colors to start with, and there's a lot of different opinions on this, so I'm just going to share with you what I like to start with. And there's kind of divided into two sides here, warm colors and cool colors, which can be a little bit confusing, but is very important when mixing greens. And so I recommend when you get these colors to sort of see how they mix together and see the different kinds of greens that you can get. This is sort of a basic list of my favorite colors, and there are a lot of sets that are pre-mixed that have pretty good color ranges, and then there's a Cotman set. Another one that Sakura makes is pretty good. And whatever you get, I recommend trying out all the colors, seeing how saturated they are because they have different strengths, mixing them up and doing sort of a color study, and where you find something to match the color and just sort of loosely just play around on a page and see how the colors mix and how you can get matching of things that you're observing. It's a good place to start to get familiar with your colors. When I think about color palettes, it reminds me of the work of a wonderful artist, Robin Carlson. She does really gorgeous nature journaling and nature art. And you can see in this picture she uses a really limited little palette that she's customized to take with her that's only got 6 colors in it in this picture. It's probably a yellow, a red, a blue, an earth tone, maybe 2 types of blue. I can't see that well, but what is amazing is the range of color that she can get with just such a small little customized palette. And she just sort of puts these half pans, or you could even just put dabs of color into a mint tin or something like that you could find around and have a little tiny handy paint kit that is really portable. And she uses the water brush and the... Oh, I didn't talk about brushes yet. That's next. I just mentioned the water brush. That's one of my favorite tools for nature journaling. It's on the bottom there. Pentel makes my favorite one. They come in different sizes. I like the large because it comes to a pretty small point, so you can still get fine details. I also like these red Scepter Gold or Princeton brushes. They're synthetic, and I'm kind of a big brush kind of person. I like to have a larger size brush with a nice point handy too. It's nice to just find a couple brushes that you like that you could take with you that are pretty versatile. Sketchbooks, again, it's a personal preference. These are my two favorite, B Paper Super Deluxe and Canson Mixed Media. I like that they just accept a wide range of media. I use a lot of watercolor, so these are great for me. A lot of people love Moleskine. Again, it's a personal preference, size and shape, but I thought I'd throw out my favorites. And lastly, if you're going to get one book, I recommend the John Muir Guide to Nature Drawing and Journaling. This is just the wildflower section because we were talking about in the video, but he has a lot of different how-tos and tutorials for all different subjects. He goes through different materials, techniques. It's just a great resource. If there was any one book that I would recommend, it's this one. Please reach out if you have any questions. My email is emilythamina@gmail.com, and I hope you have fun nature journaling.